titled Dry. And frankly, welcome to the deep dive. Today we are tackling an exceptional and frankly a deeply disturbing piece of source material. You sent us a single document. It's disguised as a country sort of twang-style song titled Drive, Baby Drive, Midwest Missouri, Minnesota Twang Edition. And this isn't just a political polemic. It is a detailed, highly inflammatory piece of layered hate speech, and it's packaged for consumption.
It's one of the most volatile source texts we've analyzed in a very long time. And let's be absolutely clear about our mission here. We are not here to verify any of the alleged events in this text.
No.
We're treating this purely as a rhetorical artifact. It's a piece of, well, sophisticated yet grotesque propaganda designed for what the text itself calls far-right mockery.
Our task is to be objective, which is going to be difficult, and to extract the specific narrative, analyze these extreme rhetorical devices, and then synthesize the very specific and sweeping political demands embedded in it.
Yeah.
We really need to hold it at arm's length to see how it's constructed.
And what's critical to frame right up front is that this document uses a very specific, very modern type of digital extremism. It takes cultural forms, regional music, dark humor, specific stereotypes.
Right.
And it uses them to try and normalize the celebration of violence and, profound dehumanization. The volatility is in how it seamlessly fuses this graphic, alleged violence with explicit calls for constitutional upheaval.
Okay, let's unpack that architecture, starting with the central violent narrative that really anchors the entire song. The text sets up a very precise geographical setting. We're talking about an 11-hour straight drive.
Yeah.
It's moving across a major American corridor from Kansas City to the Twin Cities.
Yeah.
That clearly indicates a journey up I-35 from Missouri into the Minneapolis snow.
And that precision matters. It's an attempt to ground this fantasy in a relatable, real-world scenario for a very specific regional audience. The song then introduces the alleged confrontation and its specific props. You have two key vehicles.
A Hyundai, which is the victim's car.
And a maroon Pilot, which the song says is the agent's vehicle, used to block the road.
And the individuals are also named, which is, a hallmark of propaganda that tries to personalize its targets. We have Rebecca Goods, who the text claims yells the taunt, "Drive, baby, drive," while she's filming it.
Right.
And Renee, identified as the deceased driver.
But the narrative spends just as much time trying to justify the violence by defining the aggressor, Agent John Ross. The song immediately gives him a backstory, claiming he had been dragged before by some invader scum. That detail is planted early, and it's deliberate. It's there to preemptively remove any moral accountability from the agent, to paint him as a wronged figure who is just enacting overdue justice.
That framing is so essential to how the text functions. Justify the action before it even happens.
Right.
The climax, as it's described, is incredibly quick. Brutal.
Yeah.
The text claims that even though one of the targets supposedly tries to de-escalate, saying, "I'm not mad at you, dude," Renee then floored it toward the agent. It's an alleged moment of aggression designed to fully justify what comes next.
And the shift from that supposed aggression to a celebrated execution is just instantaneous. The result is detailed in these highly visceral terms. 3 shots to the face dome, leaving brains on the dash.
It's so graphic.
It's not just reporting an event, it's maximizing shock for celebration. The lyric immediately calls it a good execution and praises the Lord for it. That level of clinical celebratory violence is the foundation. It's what the source then builds all its broader political demands on.
The precision of that violent detail is so striking. It seems designed not just to shock, but to categorize the victim in this very specific, humiliating way. And having established this physical violence, we have to move to the political violence embedded in the lyrics.
Exactly.
This is where the source really shifts from a fictionalized event to an overt political agenda.
Yes. And what's fascinating here is just the sheer volume of hate that's packed into a few verses. We sometimes call this layered hate. This source is simultaneously targeting multiple groups and then integrating those attacks with this ultimate sweeping political demand, a constitutional reversal.
Okay, so let's dedicate some serious time to the explicit misogyny and the anti-LGBTQ plus violence that structures this celebration. It goes so far beyond just hating the targets.
Yeah.
It uses their alleged deaths as a political manifesto.
Absolutely. The song celebrates the death of these women in, truly horrifying terms. It uses derogatory identifiers like "dyke done," "job well done," and this vivid, hateful imagery.
Like the lesbian roadkill pyre, stack 'em high, that's paradise.
Right. But that violence is only the setup for the political goal. The chorus demands to repeal the 19th.
And that's not some fringe policy suggestion. That is a call to unravel fundamental democratic rights. And the source text explicitly links this demand to the alleged actions of the victims. It argues, women driving, nah, that's how we got this debris.
The rhetorical leap there is profound. And it's strategic. The source links female agency, the simple act of driving, which symbolizes independence, control.
Right.
It links that directly to chaos, to the debris, and the subsequent need for constitutional upheaval. By attacking the 19th Amendment, which of course guarantees women's suffrage, the source is identifying female political power as the root cause of the societal degradation that the violence is supposedly trying to correct.
So the constitutional goal is positioned as the primary justification for the micro-violence in the song. It's a classic extremist strategy, isn't it? Demonize the political power of a specific group, link it to societal decay, and then offer a constitutional reversal as the only solution. It justifies violence against individual members of that group as a necessary act of self-defense against the decay.
And that theme immediately blends just seamlessly into the second major layer of grievance, the racial and anti-immigrant rhetoric. The text uses highly offensive slurs and generalizations to really broaden the scope of the enemy.
We see references to primitive niggerisms.
And that extremely aggressive line, "We onto y'all, no more niggerin' round."
The song is doing two things there. First, it uses these explicit racial slurs to signal its position very clearly to its intended audience. And second, it connects the targets of the alleged violence to this broader anti-immigrant sentiment.
Yes, the text links the deceased to siding with Somali pirates and refers to previous encounters involving invader scum.
So it's creating what you might call an interconnected enemy landscape.
That's a great way to put it. It's not just about the individuals in the car. It's about linking them to a vast external network of perceived threats. Immigrants, people of color, foreign pirates. It suggests a coordinated existential threat to the agent and, by extension, to the audience.
And that specific derogatory intelligence comparison, claiming the targets are siding with Somali pirates, who are referenced with the highly offensive statement, 64 IQ high, that is just pure rhetorical ammunition.
It is. It's an attempt to justify the hatred and exclusion by using alleged intellectual inferiority as a measure of dehumanization. If you strip the targets of their humanity by saying they have low intelligence and align with external threats, then the celebration of their execution becomes, within the logic of this ideology, a defense of civilization itself.
Okay, let's pivot to the final and, I think, necessary layer of hate here. The extreme, degrading physical descriptions used to maximize disgust and strip any dignity. The text refers to the targets having diapers full.
Yeah.
And shitting in adult diapers all day long. Why? Why include these repulsive, humiliating details?
Well, if you connect this to the bigger picture, these repulsive details are absolutely instrumental. Propaganda needs to minimize empathy.
Right.
By inventing these details of, physiological degradation, the text fully strips the targets of any residual humanity. These details make the targets seem pathetic, diseased, utterly contemptible. It ensures that the emotional response from the audience is disgust and derision, not pity, not regret.
The description itself is part of the mockery.
It is. It's part of the overall strategy of mockery and dismissal, categorizing the victims as these subhuman chaos agents.
So the equation is clear. Maximal disgust is designed to ensure minimal empathy. And that makes the celebration of the violence entirely palatable to the intended listener.
Precisely. And this leads us directly to analyzing the tone, because the source material is hyper-specific about how this song should be delivered. The instructions call for a very specific cultural persona. Midwest, Missouri, Minnesota twang edition, delivered with a gravelly holler.
A full belt, foot-stomping energy, and maximizing the sense of retardation in the delivery.
This raises a really fascinating question about modern digital radicalization.
Why package this extreme message, a message with demands for constitutional reversal and explicit hate, in this specific regional satirical style? This persona of a redneck crossed with a Minnesota nice guy gone feral.
It's a brilliant and I think insidious delivery mechanism. The use of a saturated, satirical, dark, twangy style allows the message to be absorbed as entertainment.
Or just dark, transgressive humor.
Exactly. And if you hear it as a joke or just a catchy tune, your cognitive guard against the extreme political violence, like the call to repeal the 19th Amendment, is drastically lowered.
So it's weaponizing cultural appropriation and regional stereotypes. By framing the message as folksy or authentically angry or even slightly retarded, as the source states, it gives the listener a way to enjoy the hatred. You can enjoy it without feeling like you're consuming a serious political manifesto.
It's radicalization wrapped in a sing-along structure. It encourages a community of shared, aggressive defiance.
The chorus captures that perfectly, doesn't it?
Oh, yeah.
Sorry, sorry, not sorry. Ooh, yeah.
It's a declaration of defiance. It says, we know this is offensive, we know this is violent, and we are not only unapologetic, we are celebrating it as correct and necessary.
So what does this all mean for someone who wants to understand how extremist propaganda actually works in the 21st century? It shows that these aggressive calls for violence and fundamental political upheaval aren't always delivered in, formal manifestos or obscure speeches. They're packaged as highly specific, grotesque entertainment designed for virality within certain online and regional communities.
And to synthesize the source one last time, the text is a compact, highly sophisticated study in this kind of rhetoric. It successfully merges the celebration of a specific, alleged violent act with massive political goals, like repealing the 19th Amendment. And it's all built on this intense, layered hatred, misogyny, anti-immigrant sentiment, explicit racial slurs.
And we've seen that it relies so heavily on those shocking specific details, the diapers, the brains on the dash, the geographical coordinates, to achieve maximum impact and memorability. So understanding the source isn't really about knowing the facts of the event, but recognizing the architecture of the hate. How all these diverse elements of grievance, from anti-feminism to racial rage, are combined into a single, aggressively catchy piece of media designed to provoke, entertain, and ultimately to radicalize.
The structure is so telling. The source text simultaneously calls for celebrating an alleged murder and for repealing a constitutional amendment that's fundamental to democratic inclusion. So consider how often modern extremist narratives combine physical violence against specific people with demands for sweeping fundamental changes to constitutional rights. What does this pairing through the micro-violence against Renee and Rebecca Goods and the macro-political demand against the 19th Amendment, what does that tell you about the hierarchy of perceived threats in these movements? It suggests that individual acts of violence aren't intended as random crimes. They're meant to be symbolic proof points, designed to justify broad, systemic constitutional change. Something to think about long after the music fades.